Alright, this video will go over how to put in enemies and get them to follow paths. So I have a very simple level here, nothing fancy going on. Okay, and we want to have more than just one player start. Remember the player starts, if we sort of take a look here, are these joysticks. Okay, so I have one in the game, and that would mean only one sort of player could appear, right? So one enemy at a time could appear. So obviously we want to put some more in there. So the easiest thing to do is just sprinkle them throughout your level. Now, you might want to put them more strategically than I'm doing here, but just to get the point across, I'm just going to Control D, duplicate it, and just move them. Control D again. And so you can just sort of place them in different parts. I would highly suggest having them in different rooms, and then, where am I moving this one? And then just sort of spread them out, okay? So again, you know, depending on where you're looking, so on the top view here, we can Control D that one, move one over sort of to the corners perhaps. Again, it's a bit more dependent on your level layout, but this just to give you the idea. Okay, I'd also suggest making sure, you know, this one up here, right, that you've got them on both levels and so on. So if I did start the game now, they should appear in different locations. One thing that you can also check is the paths. So if you go build, and then you see here the AI paths, what you'll notice, and a little hard to see, is now there's all these interconnecting lines. So these player stars act as nodes. You can actually see a little bit better here. And so the enemies would sort of run around in this location. So you can see there's not going to be too much action over here. So it might be a good idea to grab this one and then sort of, you know, move it over here. You might have to rebuild the paths again. So build AI paths. And then it will sort of, you know, configure it to work. One other thing that I will mention is that when you, if you want to add another player start and you can't find any in here, if you go under the view, right, the browser window, so just go to the content browser, to our actor classes. In the common one at the very start, there is a player start there. So you can throw that in from there, same idea. If it shows up black like that, it just needs to be lifted up a little bit. Okay? Now, you don't want to necessarily always add player starts. So from this actor classes window as well, I believe under navigation, there are path nodes. And you just grab one of these, they will show up. Lift that up there. I'll just zoom in on that. They'll show up as these apples. So the difference here is they're good for getting the enemies to move into a certain location, and then they just sort of prevent you from having to worry about, you know, the player starting there, okay, or the enemy starting there. So again, you can sprinkle them around, and you can put as many as you want in. So just Control D, and then you could get so that it kind of leads. And I don't know why they used apples. I mean, to me, they're almost like breadcrumbs. So they're sort of guiding the bots around your level. And if you go to the sample level, you'll see that there's lots and lots of these apples everywhere. So I just put them in. Again, when you build, so you always have to build your paths, you'll see now we've got this extra complexity. Okay? Excuse me. So if you go and play here, play from here, and again, you know, the lighting needs to be rebuilt, obviously, but if I go tab, add bots, and I'm going to go up to 10 now, they should all appear in different locations, as you can see, and they'll start running around the level. Okay. Now, obviously, it's not a very good level because there's not much for them to hide behind, but you can see that they are running around, right? We started on top here, and maybe we'll get a good view, right? There's kind of been able to run around the level. All right, so big things, just to recap, player starts, okay? Those are the joysticks that you can see here, and they should be located probably strategically. And then the path nodes, which are these apples, they should be sort of placed liberally around your level to get the bots to move about. Make sure after you've moved anything or added any of them that you build the AI paths, or else your changes won't affect anything. I haven't put them any in here, but if you add weapons pickups, you add vehicles, I think even like armor pickups, things like that, they will also create the paths. So you're not just limited to these, but those other objects as well that will attract the enemies will act as paths. And in the end, right, as you can sort of see here, we want most locations for the enemies to be able to go through. So when I sort of go to this top view especially, and you press P, that will show you your paths. And, I could see, there's some areas over here that I should be wary of. And then also just sort of make sure, right, that you're looking at the top view and the bottom view. So maybe on the top view, there isn't too much here, this level. So oftentimes what I do is P and P. So I'm not getting too much action sort of up top. So it might be good to put a few things up there as well. But you can see the bottom's looking pretty good. Okay, so good luck with that. And you need to sort of play test, make sure it seems to be working well, and making sure that you don't have an enemy just standing in the corner, because that sort of takes away the fun of the game. Good luck.